Hey guys, for this video, the matchup I wanted to discuss is the matchup between the Winter Soldier and the Red Hood. This often gets brought up a lot. Now, I think a lot of people favor the Red Hood due to, his training and his background. As many of you know, he's trained by, Ra's al Ghul, due to the fact that he was resurrected by the Lazarus Pits after he died, right? I believe he was beaten by a crowbar by the Joker. And I believe that he was resurrected due to the fact that Superboy Prime, punched the universal barrier, kind of did, the retcon punch, famously known for that. Brought Red Hood back into DC mainline continuity. Ra's al Ghul and his people brought him back using the Lazarus Pits, taught him everything. He was also trained by Batman, obviously. So it makes sense why a lot of people, think that Red Hood has the advantage. But for me, due to the Winter Soldier being, the Winter Soldier, he's obviously, was trained by the Soviet Union after they kind of, abducted him and kind of infiltrated his mind, basically turned him into a sleeper agent. Not only that, he's a superhuman in his own right, I believe, or at least he's peak human. He has similar super soldier serum to Captain America. He also has his bionic arm that also, I believe, gives him an advantage over Red Hood. But not only that, I think just overall, the Winter Soldier is just a more impressive fighter than Red Hood. I know Red Hood kind of comes back from a more prestigious background due to the fact that, he's trained by Ra's, trained by Batman, and many other fighters in DC. But the only thing on Red Hood is that I feel like out of all the Bat family members, he's the most undervalued and overall the most mediocre, I would say. Right next to Batgirl, maybe. I don't know too much about Batgirl, but she doesn't seem too impressive to me. Correct me if I'm wrong, as you guys probably will. But to get back on Red Hood, I just feel like Red Hood, DC just been kind of underdogging him a little bit. Especially seeing his fight, recently, that just came out with DCKO when he went up against the Joker. It's like, bro, you finally got your time to finally shine, run the ones, get your revenge for what Joker did to you from all those years ago when he beat you to death with the crowbar. And somehow Red Hood still manages to still lose. I don't know. I just feel like DC is kind of underselling, Red Hood. I mean, at least for me recently, Red Hood hasn't really done anything impressive, in my opinion. I seen his fight between Bane, recently. Maybe not so recent, but I know he went up against Bane. He was on some island. Bane wasn't even using Venom. Bane literally just looked like just a normal dude. He wasn't even in his, villain costume or nothing. And I believe, he got the better Red Hood by, literally smashing his Red Hood with his fist, which is crazy. Tackled him and then, cracked his, Red Hood mask. It was diabolical. I ain't even gonna lie. Bane did him bad. But, I don't know. I just feel like Red Hood is just kind of mediocre. I think he's kind of overhyped, overglazed a little bit due to the fact that, he's just a guy with guns. But, there's nothing really impressive about him, at least in my opinion. He's not really doing nothing. He uses guns. He's kind of flashy with his movements. But that's not anything that the Winter Soldier's never seen before. I mean, that's really what the Winter Soldier's all about. Not only that, but he's a top-tier assassin. He might even be the best assassin in Marvel Comics.